We doubt our emotions, our choices, even our very existence. Carl Jung once said that modern humanity no longer faces a crisis of religion or morality, but a crisis of identity, where we lose connection with our true self, the self. And when we lose the self, the first thing to crumble is the deep trust that we can rely on ourselves, that our intuition is valid, that the voice within is not an enemy, but a guide. Imagine you're a lighthouse in a foggy sea. If your light comes from an internal source, you can stand firm through any storm. But if that light is controlled externally, when the waves rise, you lose your way. This is the state of someone living without self-trust. Their light depends on recognition, praise, or the "you should do this" from others. The fear of failure, of judgment, of things going wrong, all stem from this place. Not because you're weak, but because you've learned to place the power to define yourself in others' hands for too long. You become a product of external voices, parents, society, social media, and the culture of instant success. The danger is, we repeat this pattern daily without realizing it. You hesitate to make simple decisions because you're afraid of being wrong. You seek advice from 5 different people, only to remain confused and anxious. You stay silent when something feels off because you're unsure if your feelings are worthy of being voiced. You promised yourself you'd sleep early, yet you're curled up in the blue glow of your phone at 1 a.m., scrolling through things you don't truly care about. You vowed to wake up for yoga, journal, or meditate, but you make excuses like, "I'm busy," or "I'll start tomorrow." These small acts are moments when you quietly break agreements with yourself. Little by little, you form an unconscious belief that your inner voice isn't important enough to honor. Jung called this living from the social mask. When trust in yourself is stolen, you begin to live according to an image you think others want to see. In doing so, the original, authentic, wild, and sacred self is forgotten in the depths of the unconscious. Self-trust, therefore, isn't the hollow confidence labeled girl boss or high value. It's an inner state where you can stand in the storm without faltering, because you know who you are and you don't abandon yourself. Like an ancient tree that doesn't need to grow taller to prove its worth, it only needs deep roots. A woman with self-trust doesn't need to try to impress. Her energy commands respect, not because of a loud voice, but because her silence carries weight. Let's look at reality. How many times have you said, "I know what I should do," but acted against it? How many times has your body sent clear signals, anxiety, tension, exhaustion, but you pushed yourself to keep going to avoid disappointing others? When you betray your emotions long enough, your mind and body begin to disconnect. You no longer know what right feels like. Intuition blurs. Decisions become mechanical. You become a machine executing expectations, no longer able to feel yourself. This is why self-trust can't be taught through theory. It must be become. To become someone with self-trust, you must relearn one fundamental thing: listening. Not listening to react or avoid, but listening to understand the whispers of your soul, long ignored after years of neglect. Self-trust is daring to believe that your inner fears deserve to be heard, trusting your intuition even when it defies logic, and shifting from asking, "What do they think?" to "What do I truly feel?" In Jungian psychology, those without self-trust easily fall prey to shadow archetypes. They're susceptible to manipulation, self-doubt, and a persistent sense of not enough. But when self-trust is present, you reclaim control of your psychological system. You stop reacting unconsciously. You begin to respond selectively, consciously, sovereignly. And here's a remarkable truth. Self-trust makes a woman magnetic, not in a seductive sense, but in a way that radiates a compelling aura. Self-trust, as Jung implied, isn't a skill. It's a sacred return to a higher, deeper, truer self. No one can give it to you. But if you're willing to walk through fear, through the lying voices in your mind, through unhealed wounds, you will touch it. Let these ideas settle for a moment. No need to rush to believe or deny them. Just let them linger within you like a seed, and see what begins to stir from within. And when self-trust begins to awaken, even with a single nod to your true emotions or a step back from old expectations, you'll uncover an undeniable truth. Within every woman coexist two energies. One is the gentle yet fierce call of the authentic self. The other is the bleeding whisper of unhealed wounds. The question isn't whether you're feminine, it's whether you're living from the goddess within or being led by your cracks. Number 2. The distinction. The woman in goddess energy versus the woman in wound energy. Two types of feminine energy coexist within every woman. One nurtures and radiates. The other bleeds in silence. One draws you closer to your true self. The other keeps you trapped in a defensive mask. Carl Jung didn't call them feminine energy, but his theories on the anima, shadow, and individuation clearly distinguish between a woman who has reconciled with her inner world and one still guided by her wounds. A woman in goddess energy isn't always soft, submissive, or perfect. On the contrary, she possesses a specific quiet strength. It's a profound presence that makes you feel safe in her company. She doesn't compete for attention because she belongs to herself. She moves with the grace of someone who knows her worth without needing to shout it. She can say no without trembling, cry without shame, and love without losing herself. She has walked through the inferno of her inner world and returned not with resentment, but with understanding. In contrast, a woman in wound energy lives in reaction, in defense. She may appear dazzling, sharp, or high value, but inside she's a trembling girl afraid of abandonment, betrayal, or not being chosen. She needs external validation to feel worthy. She's vulnerable to the smallest rejection, anxious if a text goes unanswered. Deep in her unconscious, she carries a map of love tied to unhealed wounds. Jung called these psychological complexes formed from childhood traumas or past wounds. They don't vanish. They hide in behaviors, words, and choices you think are random, but are expressions of wounds demanding to be seen and healed. Imagine two women entering a party. One glides in like a cool breeze, not trying to draw attention, yet you can't take your eyes off her. Her eyes speak with stillness. Her posture says, "I am here." The other is equally beautiful, striking, but slightly tense. Her eyes dart, scanning who's watching. Her laugh is a bit loud, as if craving notice. You may not name the feeling, but you sense it. One is present, the other is performing. A woman in goddess energy doesn't control the situation, she feels it. She doesn't try to lead others, but her presence makes them slow down. In Jungian terms, she has begun the individuation process, the reunion of ego and self, light and shadow. She's no longer a victim of archetypes but lives with them consciously. Conversely, a woman in wound energy is often hijacked by unintegrated archetypes, perhaps the shadow, causing her to overreact to what she hates in others because it's what she can't accept in herself. Or an immature anima, trapping her in fantasies of a savior-like love, seeking a partner as a psychological rescuer. These women often repeat patterns, loving the wrong people, overworking, feeling easily hurt, yet always blaming themselves for being too weak. But that's not the truth. They're simply living from their wounds instead of their self. In Christianity, the Virgin Mary is a profound archetype of a woman in goddess energy. She holds no political power, doesn't use words to influence, yet her presence radiates inner strength. Mary embodies acceptance, absolute trust in divine will, listening to the angel without panic or resistance, and embracing her mission with quiet resolve. Compare this to Eve, the first woman, who is also worth contemplating. Eve isn't bad, but she's a classic symbol of a woman led by wound and unconscious desire. She listens to the serpent, a timeless symbol of the unintegrated unconscious, acting not from conscious choice, but from an unclear complex of power, curiosity, and a desire to transcend limits. That act leads her and humanity into a state of fall, as Jung explained. When the shadow is denied, it controls you from within. If you've ever noticed yourself acting not because you want to, but because you fear being left behind, pause. Write that moment down, in words, thoughts, or a comment below, as a marker for the journey of choosing to live from yourself, not your wounds. The most important thing is, no one is born in a goddess state. No one is perfect, always present, always radiating positive energy. Everyone has wounds, shadows. The difference lies in your choice. Jung said, "The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being." A woman in goddess energy doesn't deny her darkness. She embraces it, understands it, and transforms it into strength. She doesn't need to prove she loves herself because she treats herself like the person she loves most. From the way she speaks to herself each morning to the way she doesn't blame herself for feeling tired. From the way she sets clear boundaries to the way she doesn't abandon herself just because others do. Number 3. Jungian psychology on confidence. If goddess energy is the state of a woman who has transcended her wounds, then confidence is the light reflected from that journey. In Carl Jung's perspective, confidence isn't the hollow repetition of positive affirmations, a straightened posture, or a calculated smile. It is the inevitable outcome of a soul that has found its center. It isn't forged, it is awakened from within. Building on the previous section, where we distinguished between a woman acting from her wounds and one living from herself, we now delve deeper into something Jung alluded to throughout his work. True confidence cannot exist if the ego has not confronted its shadow, if the journey of individuation has not begun, and if the unconscious still controls us from behind the scenes. Imagine a mighty tree. What we see, its trunk, canopy and fruits, is merely the surface. Its true vitality lies in its roots. A confident woman is like a tree with roots sunk deep into the soil of her soul. Those roots are self-understanding, the acceptance of both light and shadow, and the courage to no longer fear herself. Because of this, she doesn't need to convince others of her worth. She already believes in it. In Jungian psychology, true confidence only emerges when the ego no longer strains to hide wounds. An immature ego constantly seeks to project a perfect, flawless image, leading to performing, straining to display something that doesn't align with the inner self. In those moments, you become tense, easily triggered by the slightest remarks. A casual comment from someone else can shatter you. That isn't confidence, it's defensiveness disguised as confidence. And it's so fragile that a single strange glance can make you waver. Jung pointed out that true strength comes only when we dare to descend into the depths of our soul, where repressed memories, unnamed complexes, and unacknowledged shadows reside. It is this descent that opens the door to ascent. True confidence doesn't lie in external light, but in the ability to step into the darkness growing up with parents who break promises. Over time, they stop believing in any commitments, even their own. When you repeatedly fail to follow through on promises to yourself, your body and mind stop expecting. Your intuition stops whispering. You lose motivation because you no longer trust your inner voice. Conversely, every time you keep your word, no matter how small, completing a workout, drinking enough water, not texting someone unworthy, you rebuild an inner bond of trust. The wonder is that your mind registers this immediately. Behavioral studies show that repeated actions create new neural pathways, reinforcing a sense of control and consistency. When you consistently follow through, you gradually feel, "I control my life," fostering inner safety and ultimately confidence. True confidence, therefore, doesn't arise from external validation, but from the assurance that you won't betray yourself. You don't need others to believe in you, praise you, or acknowledge you. You only need to know, "If I say I'll do it, I will." This is the strongest foundation for confidence, built through small repeated actions every day, not grand declarations. From a behavioral psychology perspective, keeping promises to yourself is akin to establishing a self-reinforcing system. Each completed action, as intended, creates an internal reward, a sense of control, autonomy, and worth. This not only boosts self-esteem, but also helps the brain build realistic trust based on experience, not false beliefs or vague hopes. Imagine yourself as both the leader and the citizen of your inner nation. If the leader constantly makes and breaks promises, the citizens will rebel, chaos will ensue, and no one will follow orders. But if every promise, no matter how small, is kept, the inner society becomes orderly, peaceful, and vibrant. That is the mental state needed for confidence to arise naturally. So, how do you build this resilient inner nation? How do you make every promise to yourself a foundation, not a fleeting breeze? The answer lies in the journey we're about to embark on together. Concrete steps to sow trust from within, slowly, sustainably, and authentically. Number 4. The secret to building self-trust. If every promise you keep to yourself is a brick, then self-trust is the inner home built from those bricks. And no home stands strong without a foundation. Keeping your word to yourself may seem simple, but it is the foundational act where you lay the first brick for a reliable self, a deeper ego, an inner life that doesn't easily waver. Secret number 1. Keep your word to yourself. Imagine you're climbing a psychological mountain. Each step toward the summit is a small commitment you keep to yourself. Waking up early, taking care of your health, and stopping comparisons with others. Sometimes these steps are quiet, without applause or recognition. But it's this silent repetition that builds a sturdy path you can walk tomorrow without trembling. Keeping your word to yourself doesn't just create discipline, it creates identity. In the depths of psychoanalysis, particularly in Jung's framework, keeping your word to yourself is a way to build a bridge between the unconscious and the conscious. Each fulfilled promise doesn't just make you better, it opens a door connecting the acting ego to the deeper soul yearning to live authentically. This isn't a one-way process. Keeping your word sends a signal to the unconscious that you're ready. And the unconscious, with its ancient wisdom, responds with clarity, intuition, and a sense of autonomy no one can grant you from the outside. A woman who longs to become more confident but repeatedly breaks small promises to herself, like sticking to a gym schedule, leaving a toxic relationship, or stopping self-deprecation in front of others, may read books on confidence, watch videos, and take diligent notes, yet still feel unsteady. That's because all the knowledge she absorbs is like a fleeting breeze if it isn't anchored in real action. The confidence she seeks isn't hidden far away. It's waiting in the first promise she makes and follows through to completion. So where do you start? Not with grand promises, but with small, consistent actions. Below is a specific exercise to build the foundation of self-trust daily. First exercise. Choose 3 simple promises to yourself for the next 7 days. They must be small, specific, and measurable. For example, if you usually wake up late at 8 a.m., don't set an unrealistic goal of 5:30 a.m. Start with small, manageable changes, like waking up at 7 a.m. 5 days a week, or journaling for 5 minutes each evening, or avoid social media after 10 p.m. Write these promises on paper and place them where you'll see them daily. This turns vague intentions into concrete commitments to your unconscious. Experiences and memories from our inner dialogue. Jung argued that much of what we call intuition is the unconscious sending information to the conscious through bodily sensations. If you've ever known someone was untrustworthy from a handshake or felt off entering a room without a clear reason, that's intuition whispering. But intuition, like any relationship, only grows when you listen to it enough for it to trust you won't ignore it again. To do this, you must return to where it resides, your body. Not as a machine to be tuned, but as a living map offering guidance daily. Honing intuition doesn't require becoming a mystic or enlightened. It starts concretely, humbly, by noticing what your body says in the smallest moments. For example, before making a decision, instead of seeking multiple opinions, sit quietly for 3 minutes. Place your hand on your chest, breathe deeply, and ask, if I choose this, how will it feel in my chest? If your chest feels light, your heart warm, your body expansive, it may be the right choice. If you feel anxious, a knot in your stomach, or a stiff neck, you might be forcing yourself into something misaligned with your inner truth. These aren't random physiological responses. They're the wordless voice of the unconscious, the result of thousands of lived experiences stored and encoded in your body's reflexes. Another simple yet powerful exercise. For 7 days, choose a quiet moment each day. Silence all noise. Sit down and ask, what is my body feeling? Don't analyze, don't judge, just notice. Write down one adjective. Over time, you'll start to hear more clearly, and one day at a critical crossroads, you won't need to ask anyone else. You'll know, because your body has become a trusted companion. Secret number 3, Set boundaries to protect inner trust. At this point, something inevitable happens. You start noticing what harms you, things you once overlooked. Not because the world suddenly turned more toxic, but because you've stopped numbing yourself, stopped pretending you're fine, stopped ignoring your inner signals. And at that moment, you need something essential to protect this awakening. Boundaries. Carl Jung didn't frame boundaries as a social skill, but as a spiritual act. In his language, every interaction with the external world reflects your inner relationship. When you allow others to repeatedly invade, belittle, or hurt you, it's not just a matter of weakness. It's a clear sign that your inner self-worth is wavering. And when boundaries erode, self-trust collapses. How can you trust someone who doesn't protect themselves, even if that someone is you? Imagine you're the gatekeeper of a sacred temple. Inside that temple are your intuition, clarity, identity, and dreams. If you let anyone enter, create chaos, bring manipulative or draining energy, you're desecrating that sacred space. Setting boundaries isn't about opposing others. It's about preserving the inner ground you've worked so hard to build. In psychology, particularly in trauma-related therapies, a lack of personal boundaries is a common consequence for those who experienced self-worth wounds in childhood. They grew up in environments where boundaries were violated, over-controlled, their emotions disregarded, or forced to please others to be loved. As adults, they repeat this pattern, yielding, diminishing themselves, staying silent, enduring, as if it's the only way to survive. So how do you begin? Below is a specific practical exercise to practice personal boundaries daily. Step 1. Identify 3 recent situations that left you feeling drained, uncomfortable, or depleted. Write them down specifically. Who was it? Where? How did I feel? What did I do or not do? This helps you pinpoint energy leaks, where your boundaries are being breached. Step 2. Starting tomorrow, practice a mini boundary in a small situation. Decline a call when you're exhausted. Don't reply to a message instantly when you need space, or simply mute work group chat notifications when you're low on energy. Observe your body. You may feel anxious at first, but if you push through, a new surge of energy will rise within. Step 3. Each evening, write down one action you took to protect your boundaries that day. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, just acknowledge it. Today, I didn't let myself get pulled into flattery. Or simply, today, I didn't apologize for my emotions. Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And boundaries sometimes cause discomfort for others and yourself. But that discomfort is a sign you're beginning to live consciously. When you dare to set boundaries, you don't just protect your inner trust. You nurture it day by day. Number 5. The effect of a woman with self-trust. With every action you take to protect yourself, a small no, a step back from invisible depletion, something grows within you that you may not immediately notice. her imperfection, saying no when her heart contracts, choosing herself over pleasing others, she sends a message. You can do this too. In Jung's perspective, such a woman embodies the archetype of the healer or the guide, not by saving anyone, but by having healed herself. Jung believed that each person carries dormant archetypes in their unconscious, and when you live true to yourself, you awaken those archetypes in others. You don't just change yourself, you ignite the potential for change in those around you. The ripple effect of a woman with self-trust isn't loud like stage lights. It's like an underground stream seeping through the earth, nourishing seeds in others that haven't yet dared to sprout. The respect she receives doesn't come from fear or flattery, but from the feeling that, beside her, I can be myself. And perhaps in the end, self-trust isn't a destination to reach, but a relationship to nurture daily. It's like learning to stay with yourself, not just when you're radiant, but when you're chaotic, conflicted, or uncertain. Like a lifelong friendship, self-trust grows through patience, through the moments you choose not to abandon yourself, even if it's just allowing a sigh to be enough. A woman who trusts herself isn't someone who never fears. She simply doesn't let fear lead the way. She doesn't seek validation because her presence itself is the answer. And that is a quiet power, needing no declaration, only authentic living. If this journey has touched something within you, please like and subscribe to stay connected with future videos. Not just to follow, but to keep this dialogue with yourself alive, honestly, persistently, and with deep respect.